I wanted to make a video discussing the value of the city-states, and rather than take the route of making a tier list, I've decided to divide the city-states into the following groups. Useless, city-states that players should avoid sending an envoys to and target for capture. Situationally useful, city-states whose suzerainty bonus can be used for specific purposes at various points in the game, but whose benefits do eventually expire. And always useful, city-states that players should concentrate on sending envoys to, defending, and retaining suzerainty over. I've also set apart one city-state into its own category of breaks the game, because of how it can force players to completely alter their strategy and, on its own, can help human players win the game. Welcome to Civ 6 Stories, where we explore alternatives to history through the lens of the world's most addictive video game. For this guide, although what I'm about to share is applicable for all difficulty levels, I specifically want to address how these city-states should affect a player's decision-making on deity difficulty level. Civ players who stick to lower difficulty levels should especially consider this list as part of a how-to if they hope to one day graduate to playing on deity. Before I get specific about all of the 48 city-states, it's important to recognize that the value of city-states fluctuates over the course of the game. City-states are far more valuable within the first 50 to 100 turns, and less so as the game advances. Certain leaders also possess unique bonuses that leverage the power of city-states. Matias Corvinus, Pericles, and Harold Hadrada's Varangian persona come to mind, making city-states more important to them overall than for most leaders. There are also certain wonders like the Apadana and Kilwa Kisawani that expand the benefits of the city-states and are very powerful. All this to say that the value of any one city-state is situational, and no city-state should be dismissed altogether, nor pushed to the point of bankrupting a civilization of its envoys and reducing its ability to be flexible and adapt to a changing political environment. City-states can also be useful beyond their bonuses. Levying a powerful city-state early in the game can help to conquer your nearest enemy or other city-states. They can also be used as buffer states between you and your enemies. But for the purposes of this video, we want to discuss specifically the usefulness of city-states and their suzerain bonus. Lastly, before we discuss the specific city-states, it is important to remember that in the early game, players should work toward having at least one envoy in every city-state that they have met and are not at war with. The initial bonus of a single envoy is huge during the first turns of the game. Players should explore the map as much as possible and hope to be the first to meet city-states. At minimum, explore the map enough to trigger the inspiration for political philosophy. Some city-state quests are easy to fulfill, like building a spearman or a chariot, and players should do so when convenient early in the game. City-state quests shouldn't be a player's chief focus, nor should they be entirely ignored. Oh, and just one other thing. This is my opinion based on my experience. Civ players may have their own take on the value of certain city-states, and that's fine. I encourage everyone watching this video to share their opinions and let me and everyone know what your favorite city-state is. Just remember that we're all human, not AI, and we have feelings. So share, but be kind. Okay, now let's look at the city-states. First, let's talk about the useless ones. When I say useless, I mean that beyond having one envoy early in the game, players should strive to conquer these city-states and avoid becoming their suzerain. If they are on the frontier of your empire, you are not their suzerain, and you have an idle army, then move in right away. It may upset your rivals, but if you are not benefiting from their bonus, then someone else is, and that's bad. In this category, we have Lahore, Fez, Bandar Brunei, Mogadishu, and Cardiff. In fact, these 5 city-states belong in a separate, worse than useless category. I built a Nihang unit once and it died almost instantly. You almost never see them in the game because the AI knows better than to build these useless units. According to some sources, a fully promoted Nihang can have a base strength of 87, but good luck with that. Fez is tied to religion, which can often be tough for deity players to even get, and it involves so much work to even make use of the bonus. The bonuses for Bandar Brunei, Mogadishu, and Cardiff don't really kick in until later in the game, when the value of city-states decline, and it's more useful to have the city than the bonus. Also in this category of useless, we have the mostly useless city-states that usually presuppose certain conditions that hurt their overall value. These are city-states like Chinguetti, Jerusalem, and Vatican City that are only useful if you have actually founded your own religion. Vilnius's bonus only kicks in when, and more importantly, if you have made alliances, which can be tough on deity. Some of these mostly useless city-states have bonuses that are too specific, like Kumasi's bonus only applying to trade routes to city-states, or Venice's bonuses applying only to foreign trade routes, instead of these bonuses applying to all trade routes. Mohenjo-Daro's water bonus only applies to cities that do not yet have water as if next to a river, instead of just raising the housing in all cities. This type of problem also applies to Ngazagarmu's gold discount on land and support units rising with every encampment building instead of just a flat discount on units across the board. If you go to the trouble to build those buildings, it's because the production in the city is good. If production is good, the default is to build, not purchase the unit. Mostly useless city-state bonuses may also be too insignificant to make any real difference, as in the case of Preslav, where core cities won't need extra loyalty and the bonuses won't significantly change loyalty pressures from conquered cities more than policies or governors. Or the city-state bonus has half worn out before you can make effective use of it, as with Candy. Let's be clear. These can be powerful suzerain bonuses that can synergize with specific civs, or provide a tremendous return on investment to players willing to significantly alter a trusted playstyle to make use of them. But making use of their bonuses takes greater thought and rigor than with other city-states. The next group I refer to as situationally useful. What I mean by situationally useful applies to city-states whose effects are nicely felt at certain stages of the game, are unobtrusive or passive bonuses that help without players really noticing, or are useful in pursuing certain victory types. Of the happy passive type of bonus, we have city-states like Antananarivo, Ayutthaya, Kabul, Anshan, Mitla, Taruga, Bologna, Hunza, Muscat, Buenos Aires, Johannesburg, and Singapore. Generally, all of these city-states offer some kind of increased yield of their type, without players really needing to change up their gameplay or go out of their way to receive these bonuses. For example, Antananarivo's culture bonus for great people recruitment scales and never goes away. You want to recruit great people, and more is just better. Taruga is similar. It scales as you advance through the game, and although it caps, it never expires. Anshan is kind of the same deal. In terms of the city-states that are helpful at certain stages of the game, Geneva is very handy whenever players are not at war with a major civilization. I will caveat this one by saying that whenever Geneva is in the game, the AI prioritizes sending envoys there, so it can be difficult to become their suzerain. It is also tremendously difficult to stay peaceful playing on Dini, but when you have it, that 15% science boost is really useful. Hattusa has saved me on several occasions when I have been at war and not had access to vital resources like iron or niter. It is the condom of city-states where it's better to have and not need than need and not have. Wolin is great early in the game when great generals are cheap. The unfortunate thing is when they are all taken, or if you have built your military strong enough, the bonus basically expires and it is time to take them over. This is also true of Akkad. This is one of the best city-states to be suzerain of during the early phase of the game when melee units are so valuable. The impact wears off later in the game when you should have fully promoted artillery and rocket artillery. Brussels also falls into this category and is most useful when the best early wonders are up for grabs, players are running the autocracy tier 1 government, and have the corvée policy card inserted. Players without this policy trifecta should not expect to build many of the more valuable early wonders, but rather add them by force. Brussels is also useful in the mid-game and late game, allowing strong cities to build wonders more quickly and then focus production on other things. Lastly, there are the city-states that provide unique tile improvements to builders and improve tile yields of their type, so cultural city-states provide culture, scientific city-states provide science, and so on. On this list, I rank them from most useful to least useful and connect them with the victory type they are most likely to help towards. Nalanda is the one interesting exception here. It gives a free technology when you build its unique tile improvement for the first time. I would argue that this is more important than the tile improvement itself. I recommend, if you can become an early suzerain of Nalanda, build one Mahavihara and then conquer the city. I made my rankings this way because I feel that I always get the best yields with well-placed colossal heads and alcazars. The economic tile improvements don't receive tourism, which hurts their long-term value. The same is true of Armaz monasteries. Generally speaking, these tile improvements are best deployed for players seeking a religious victory, the colossal head being the king among them. All of these situationally useful city-states are worth being suzerain of if it's convenient, or for a portion of the game. If not, then just conquer them and make them a part of your empire. Finally, we come to the city-states that are always useful. I put Nazca in this category even if they are more similar to the situationally useful tile improvement city-states I mentioned in the previous group. Unlike the other city-states in this category, their bonus does expire. However, their ability to improve marginal terrain and make substandard cities relevant makes them more valuable. There is little that is more satisfying in Civ 6 than building a kick-ass Petra city. If you can build Petra and also build a few Nazca Lines improvements, you will have a desert city as powerful as any city you are likely to find in the game. Amenities are an underappreciated game mechanic that takes many playthroughs to understand and get the hang of. Generally speaking, anything in the game that adds amenities is beneficial. Being suzerain of Zanzibar can springboard your citizens to being ecstatic or prevent negative amenities penalties caused by war weariness. All you have to do is place envoys there and they help with all of your non-food yields across the board and contribute to every win condition. Even for players not playing a religious game, faith is a useful currency, and it's important for players to be mindful to always be generating some faith. Purchasing city center buildings using faith is a great way to spend that currency. Founding a city and being able to instantly build a monument, a granary, city walls, and a watermill is a great way to make a young city instantly useful. In the late game, when environmental pressures begin to kick in, as rising temperatures melt the polar ice caps, flooding coastal terrain, faith can be spent on flood barriers. Experienced players will know the pain of seeing useful tiles and districts flooded, while the build times for flood barriers increases through each phase. Being suzerain of Valletta and being able to buy outright for 160 faith what might cost a city 600 or more turns to build is of incalculable value. It is always a fun feeling to meet Nan Madol in the mid-game and, with envoys saved up during earlier eras, instantly become their suzerain and watch your culture per turn double. Believe it or not, this is a great domination game bonus. Playing domination, you're bound to be at war for most of the game and will suffer from insufficient amenities and war weariness. Nan Madol's bonus grows as your empire grows and continues to offset those penalties, allowing you to keep pace culturally with your rivals. Because production is the most important of all the yields in the game, anything that directly increases a tile's production yields is a godsend. Similar to Nazca with desert tiles, Auckland improves the usefulness of shallow water tiles, turning less productive coastal cities into production powerhouses. What it can do for a civilization's navy cannot be understated. Similar to Zanzibar, you don't have to do anything but send your envoys there to reap the benefits. Finally, Hong Kong and its ability to shave the production time off city projects can turn your most productive cities into great people printing machines. In combination with some of these great people, Hong Kong can help players race to a speedy space race victory by cutting down the time it takes to launch space projects, build laser stations, and train astronauts. Although I rarely get to the point where I'm playing a game long enough to participate in the International Space Station competition. Hong Kong can also help with diplomatic victories, allowing you to train athletes, send aid, or decommission power plants faster than anyone else. So, have you been paying attention? There's one last city-state that I haven't mentioned yet. Can you guess which one it is? I'll give you a second. It's Yerevan. So why do I say that Yerevan stands alone? Why does it break the game? Many religious city-states are only useful if you have founded a religion, which can be tough to do on deity difficulty. Yerevan, in this regard, is no exception. So why does Yerevan set itself apart? First, let me say that if you were unable to found a religion, or you are playing as Mavemba Nzinga, who cannot found a religion, then you should immediately target Yerevan and take it over. But if you meet Yerevan in the early game, then, no matter which civilization you are playing as, you have unlocked the door to the easiest and quickest religious victory you will ever play. If you want to follow down that path, then you will need to pivot your strategy, build a holy site as your first district, and run holy site prayers to guarantee that you found a religion. But once you do, after you research theology and are able to build temples, then the apostles you purchase with faith have the ability to choose from any promotion. This means that from the moment you found your religion using the debater promotion, you can turn your apostle army into an unstoppable religious conversion powerhouse. As you advance through the game, you can use Governor Moksha's patron saint promotion and then combine the proselytizer and pilgrim promotions to quickly convert foreign cities to your religion. You don't need to be playing as a religious civilization with religious bonuses. It is a city-state whose bonus is so effective at aiding players to achieve this one victory condition that I say it breaks the game. If you're a civilization master, hopefully you look at this assessment and feel similarly, or at least that I make a well thought out case. If you're an intermediate player or a beginner, hopefully this breakdown of the city-states helps you to become a better Civ player and eventually graduate to playing on deity. No matter how you decide to play, remember to keep playing and making your own civilization stories, your own amazing paths through history, and I'll see you next time.